Episode 21. The War of Light versus Dark. The World War outside. The skies above the capital burned with fire and steel. Catapults hurled flaming stones that painted the heavens orange, while war horns howled across every horizon. The major kingdom's northern army smashed against the capital's outer walls like a storm surge, but from the west the Unity Kingdom's banners surged forth, their ranks colliding with both capital defenders and major troops alike. From the east, the Royal Kingdom's golden armored knights carved through the chaos, their lances piercing lines of soldiers as the battlefield became a tangled knot of three invading armies and one desperate defense. The land itself groaned under the weight of war. Cities at the borders burned, and fields were trampled into blood-soaked mud. The capital's outer districts crumbled into ruin, homes collapsing beneath siege fire. But the commanders of each army kept their cause away from the sacred valleys and the untouched forests that stretched beyond the capital's reach. These untouched lands, preserved in the chaos, would one day serve as the soil of rebuilding, though none yet knew it. General Kyonis, drenched in blood, raised his spear high above the melee. "Forward! Break their walls! For the major kingdom!" shouted Kyonis. The response was deafening as soldiers surged like a tide. But from the west, the Unity Kingdom's banners crashed against them, a storm of swords clashing with spears. "Crush the north before they claim the capital!" roared the Unity commander. Steel screamed against steel. Warhorses trampled men into the earth. For every step taken, blood watered the ground. On the eastern flank, the Royal Kingdom's cavalry thundered in with lances lowered, their polished armor gleaming in the firelight. They smashed through the capital's defenses, only to meet the major kingdom's armored riders head-on. The collision cracked the earth, men and horses alike thrown into chaos. Lady Makoni stood among her troops like an unbreakable pillar, her silver spear cleaving through enemy after enemy. "Protect each other. We fight for tomorrow as much as today," commanded Lady Makoni. Beside her, Omotus, silent and grim, waded into battle like a force of nature, his greatsword splitting enemy formations with every swing. The clash between the kingdoms roared louder than thunder. But beyond the carnage, hills, lakes, and valleys still stood untouched, spared by the chaos of war. While the capital burned and the kingdoms tore at each other's throats, pieces of the world remained whole, waiting for the day peace would return. The throne room climax. Inside the shattered castle, the throne room mirrored the apocalypse outside. The shadow being, driven to its limits, split into dozens of dark forms, each hurling blasts of corrupt energy. But Mae, Yae, Kuromi, and Kurugi had transcended fear. Mae's golden dragon form blazed with divine brilliance, every strike a sunflare of destruction. Yae's silver dragon form carved through shadow with elegant precision, her winds howling like a storm given life. Kuromi's black and blue hollow winds shredded everything in their path, while Kurugi's azure dragon fists detonated with the fury of a living comet. Even so, the shadow being refused to fall, its voice splitting the air in a dozen overlapping tones. "You are nothing before eternal darkness," screamed the shadow being. Mae snarled, her aura intensifying. "Then let light consume you," shouted Mae. The four warriors drew together, their powers converging. Gold, silver, black-blue, and azure flames intertwined, spiraling into a vortex of raw creation. The energy burned so fiercely it cracked the throne room walls, light blasting through shattered windows into the night sky. The shadow being shrieked, its form unraveling under the weight of their unity. "Brother, Mae, Yae, this is everything we are," cried Kuromi, his voice breaking but resolute. "Our family, our love, our bond, all of it, into one strike," declared Kurugi. "For the kingdom," shouted Yae. "For the world we'll rebuild," roared Mae. Together they unleashed it. Dragon convergence, final set, eternal radiance. The explosion of power was blinding, a beam of light and fire that swallowed the throne room whole. The shadow being's scream echoed once, then vanished as its body was consumed. Darkness shattered, replaced by brilliance. When the light faded, the throne room lay in ruins, but the four stood together, battered yet unbroken. Beyond the shattered walls, they could hear the distant echoes of the world war raging still, but here, at the heart of the capital, the first and greatest shadow had been destroyed. For the first time that night, silence fell in the throne room.